He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We made the human being drowning, just like in loss. The human being is in loss, but this is different. We made the human being drowning in toil, stress, labor, difficulty, sadness. What does that mean? There's some of us are poor, and we have to break our backs to earn a living, just to survive. Constant labor. And the only time we're not laboring is when we're passed out. The farmer's working through the burning heat all day, and then he's knocked out like you couldn't wake him up if, other than the sur, I don't know what else can wake him up. He's gone for the day. But then you have someone on the other side who's a millionaire. House, car, money, savings, everything is there. But he's got mental strain. He's also exhausted, but not physically, but how? Mentally. Stress, investments, family, children, whatever other issues. The farmer has physical exhaustion. This one has mental, but everybody's exhausted. Nobody escapes the exhaustion. This one is physically relaxed, sitting in the air conditioner. That one's physically abused under the sun. But this one can sleep without any pills, no antidepressants, no nothing. This one has to stay up all night and OD on stuff to get some sleep. They have a different kind of kabad, but every human being has kabad. Every human being is going to be, Allah put us in a state of toil and labor and stress. So when you and I start thinking that one day there's not going to be any stress, one day I just wish I had nothing to worry about. Keep wishing. You were programmed. Allah created you and Allah created me to be dealing with problems constantly, to be labored constantly, to be exhausted constantly. If it's not going to be one thing, it's going to be another, it's going to be another, it's going to be another. If it's not going to be physical, it's going to be mental. If it's not mental, it's going to be emotional. There's going to be some labor in our life. We have to accept that this life comes with that. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Now, Allah says, when you realize that life is tough, and by the way, so many philosophers will also say the tragedy of life, right? The travesty of life. Then why would Allah put us like this? Why would Allah make us like this? And you realize Allah Azza wa Jal created us, Ar-Rahmanu, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan. The exceedingly loving, merciful one is the one who created you. Even in this toil and labor, there's some mercy for you. He didn't make you like this because He enjoys watching you suffer or enjoys watching you, exhaust yourself. How can Allah relate to me? How does He know what I'm going? Does He even realize what I'm going through? وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُهُ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. We created the human being. We're the ones who created the human being. We know everything His own self whispers to Him. Every thought you have, every complaint you have, every urge you have, every crazy thought you have. Sometimes you have crazy thoughts. He knows all of them. He knows all the crazy thoughts. And He says, we are closer to Him than His own jugular vein. We don't even realize how close our jugular, this is to our life. Allah is closer to us than that. Meaning it's not just a threat that I'll cut your jugular vein. The ayah is saying, I am closer to you than you ever imagine. I can relate to you. I can understand your problem more than you'll ever know. And finally, in all of these ayat, in the way He made us, He gave us some hope. He told us so far that we rush into stuff, we don't have patience, some pretty bad qualities that we have to work through. But then He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We created the human being in the most beautiful, upright form. And in a form that's taqweem, not just qiwam. Qiwam means upright form, but taqweem means not only are we capable of standing upright, we have the power to fix things around us. We can do taqweem of other things. It's the mubalagh form of even iqama. That Allah Azza wa Jal created human beings, like He says, وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُمْ فِيهَا. He put you on the earth to build around you. He made you someone capable of developing around you, making things right around you. We're not just there to fix ourselves, but everything around us also. So Allah's mercy overshadows all things. Now, before I go any further, this is the weakness of the human being that Allah talks about. The next section gets even worse, but before we go there, because when you study the human being in the Quran, you kind of realize the human being is not talked about in a very positive light. That term is not occurring in a very positive light. But before we go there, just one thing I wanted to bring to our attention. Our tendency to rush into things and get into things and stress and labor, which all of us have. Parents are worried about the future of their kids, spouses worried about each other, children worried about things for themselves, young people worried about their careers. Everybody's worried about something. We're stressed about something. And you know what's common nowadays in a worldview that doesn't have Allah in it? Because with Allah in the worldview, eventually I'm going to stand in front of Allah. That's what I'm working towards. But if you remove Allah from the equation, you don't have Allah in the equation, then the only thing you're working towards is I want to be happy. That's all I got. I mean, I'm just here for a few more, years, if that. And the best I can do for myself is what? Be happy. So I'm going to go to a therapist, even if I make millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm going to get my therapist to tell me how can I be what? Happy. That's all I want is just I want to be happy. That becomes my ultimate goal. You know what's incredible about the Quran? The Quran never describes the pursuit of happiness. Not once. I tried to find it, it's not there. There's no concept of the pursuit of happiness in the Quran. And it is the most central concept in a society when God is out of the equation. Our pursuit is to save ourselves and be able to stand in front of Allah. Which seems like, man, that's really hard. Why don't you just live a life where you can be what? Your friends will say, you guys are so worried about Judgment Day and halal and haram and all this. Islam is really like hard. I just want to be happy, bro. Just do what makes you happy. And then you're like, yeah, I like happy. I want to be happy. Pass me some of that. So I can be happy too. You see drunk people, they look really happy. They do. People that smoke whatever drug, recreational or otherwise, they look really happy. I'd like to be happy. I'm always in kabad. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي kabad. And they're like, yeah, there's so much kabad in the world, man. Let's just check out for a little bit and just be happy, dude. My top priority is to seek happiness. Let me tell you how the Quran talks about what we call happiness. The Quran's word for it, if anything, is hawa. Hawa. Allah doesn't describe people that follow happiness. Allah says people that follow their whim. Empty air, hawa. Instead of describing happiness, He called it just empty, hot air. Why would He do that? Because just like air, it goes away. Just like air, once you have it, like you took the breath in, are you done? Nope. You can't just keep it in. You have to what? Because whatever made you happy won't make you happy for long. You're gonna let it go. Then you want something else that makes you happy. Then you want to let that go too. Then you want something else that makes you happy. And you want to let that go too. You will never, ever actually be, I wish I could be happily ever after. There ain't no ever after. I can have moments of happiness and they'll go away just like the air does. And then I'm going to be anxious for the next moment of happiness, and then that'll go away. And at the end of all of that, what did you keep? If happiness is being described just as hawa, empty whim, then what did you keep at the end? Nothing. Nothing you can actually hold on to. Do you realize what powerful truth is being described in the Quran? About people who yattabi'una shahawat, shahwa also, hawa also, ittiba'ul hawa. What is being described here? And then you look for happiness in the Quran, and what do you find? وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ سُعِدُوا, and the ones who were granted happiness. Listen carefully, not the ones who are happy, it's passive, the ones who were granted happiness. In other words, you cannot have it. It has to be what? Granted to you. فَفِي الْجَنَّةِ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا, then they're in Jannah, where they'll remain forever. And then He says about Jannah, عَطَاءً غَيْرَ مَجْذُوذٍ. There it's a grant that will never shatter. It'll never fragment and break away. It'll never become irrecoverable. As if Allah is saying, every happiness in this world, what happens to it? It shatters. It goes away. It disappoints. I thought you would make me happy. Your kids, if you just get me that video game, I'll be so happy. Then you get it. Yeah. I'm gonna beat it. Aren't you happy? No. I never said I'd be that happy. Happiness disappears. It keeps going away. Allah describes Jannah as a place where you will finally be granted happiness. If you want to pursue happiness, the Quran's view is, that's not this life. This life is a pursuit of something else. It's a pursuit, and it's a positive thing too. It's itmi'nan. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. You can be content here. You can be okay here. And happiness will come as a side, come and go. If, the people who deserved happiness the most in this life, I would argue are the prophets. The people closest to Allah. The one who worships Allah the most. The one who serves God the most. I would imagine they should be the most rewarded. Therefore they should have the most what? Happiness. Let's look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. How happy is his life? He had the momentous occasion, the joy of standing up to his dad and being kicked out of his house. He had the happy occasion of being thrown in a fire. Then there was the happy moments of being told he has to slaughter his son and before that, leaving them in the middle of a desert. He had happiness on top of happiness on top of happiness. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, constantly Allah is telling him, you happy now? You happy now? No. He's saying, don't be sad. Don't be sad. La tahzan. Turn your eyes away from them. La yahzunka qawluhum. Don't let their words make you sad. And Allah says eventually, وَلَا سَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Eventually Allah will give you, then you'll be happy. Then you'll be pleased. Subhanallah. What we're running after over and over in life, because it is empty, we're always going to be in loss. Understand what's being said here in relation to إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Whether you lose anything or not, you're losing time. You lost so much effort in pursuit of something that you can never hold on to. I just want to have a happy day. Every time and by the way, when you check out and say, I just want to be happy, I don't care about anything else. And you do whatever, you drink, you commit haram act, whatever you do, to what you think will make you happy. Does it have consequences? Those consequences bring you great deals of misery. Those few moments of happiness always come with a much heavier price. And Allah's laws, Allah said, I want to make things light for you. But in your pursuit of happiness, you make burdens heavier on you, on your conscience, on your soul, on the barakat around you, the goodness around you. You just keep throwing it away. These are the tendencies of the human being. The way Allah made us. He made us desiring to rush. He made us, not so patient, but He gave us the ability to fight those tendencies.